Good morning, friends. I'm doing pretty good today, Alex. Alexis. There, now I can read your whole name. So, start today with a little bit of breathing. I'm going to inhale and exhale with a pure tone similar to my speaking voice. Good morning, Kimmy. Yeah, the weather today is really nice. Shema Yisrael Asher Eloheinu Yahweh Echad. ואהבת את ענת אלוהיך ובכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך וחיה כי ויחיו אלוהיך אל הארץ אשר נשבע לאבותיך לאברהם ליצחק וליעקב לתת לך עברים גדולות וטובות אשר לא בנית ובתים מלאים כל טובה אשר למילאת ואורות עצובים אשר לא עשת וקרבים וזיתים אשר לא נתת והלכת ושבעת הישמר לך ותשכח את יהוה אשר תשעך מארץ מצרים מבית עבדים. Novu Kitty, what am I singing? I'm singing an old prayer. The first word of which is Shema, which means listen. Shema means listen in Hebrew. And the first part of the prayer, Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Echad. Listen, Israel, listen, you who struggles with God. All of these various names, Yahweh Eloheinu, Asher Echad, are one. Right? So today we are going to hear some stories about a large variety of gods. And in so doing, we will remind ourselves, as the ultimate frame, that they are ultimately one and the same thing, just as every human being on the face of this planet is descended from a single universal common ancestor who lived 3.8 billion years ago. So all of our versions of God are descended from a single source. What you doing? Saying morning prayers. What you doing, Israel? So, we will begin again reading from this storybook, Stories from Ancient Canaan. And we have just begun the story of Akwat, right? And I suppose it's not morning for me anymore either. It's almost noon. But here I am. I know I'm a little bit late today. Yes, it is a sacred candle. It is indeed. So, in the story of Akwat, we left off the wise, pious man Danel, who prayed to the gods for a son. And he's given a son, and that son is born, is named Akwat. And when Akwat is a young man, he has a run-in with the goddess Anat. Here's the goddess Anat, holding a serpent. Here's one of her counterparts, a vulture goddess with wings. Anat poured her cup on the ground. She raised her voice and shouted, "Listen, Akwat the hero. If you want silver, I'll give it to you. Or gold, I'll make it yours. But give me your bow. Give your bow to Anat. Let the mistress of the peoples have your arrows." But Akwat the hero replied, "I'll donate my wood from Lebanon. I'll donate tendons from wild oxen. I'll donate horns from mountain goats, sinews from the hocks of a bull. I'll donate reeds from the vast marshes. Give them to Gothar Wahasses. He'll make a bow for Anat, arrows for the mistress of the peoples." But the virgin Anat replied, dissatisfied, "If you want eternal life, Akwat the hero, even if you want eternal life, I'll give it to you. Immortality, I'll make it yours. You'll be able to match years with Baal, months with the sons of El." And remember, Anat she's not in jest here. She resurrected Baal. She made Baal immortal, right? This is her power. Her power is over life and death. So she's not offering him something frivolous. "I'll give you eternal life if you love me," she says. Okay, Anat. "For when Baal gives life, he makes a feast. He makes a feast for the life given and gives him drinks. He sings a song in his honor, a pleasant refrain for him. So I will give life to Akwat the hero." But Akwat the hero replied, "Don't lie to me, virgin. For a hero, your lies are wasted. A mortal, what does he get in the end? What does a mortal finally get? Plaster poured on his head, lime on top of his skull. As every man dies, I will die. Yes, I too will surely die. And I have something else to tell you. Bows are for men. Do women ever hunt?" Anat laughed, but not in her heart. She replied, "Listen to me, Akwat the hero. Listen to me while I speak. I'll surely meet you on your path of rebellion. On the proud path I'll make you fall. Under my feet, pretty boy, he-man." She stamped her feet and left the earth, and she headed towards El at the source of the two rivers, in the midst of the two seas pools. She opened El's tent and entered the shrine of the king, the father of time. At El's feet she bowed down and adored. She prostrated herself and worshipped him. She maligned Akwat the hero, slandered the child of Danel, the healer's man. Aren't these stories great? So you have this proud son and the goddess of life and death who has the capacity to procreate and resurrect. She goes to this dude and she's like, "Hey, give me your bow and arrow. I think it's sexy." And he's like, "Nah." And she's like, "I'll let you live forever." And he's like, "No, you're lying." And then she goes to her father and says, "That guy sucks." This is the behavior of gods in ancient Canaan. Jenny, I'm glad you liked the video. It means a lot to hear. How's this not a modern story? I mean, it is a modern story. This is the comportment of people for as long as there have been people. And gods are people. They might be very powerful people. We might think things about them. But, like, you know, the whole point of Christianity is to convince you that God is a person. So, we should see their humanity, their personhood. Anat's jealous. She doesn't like being spurned by an arrogant young man. Neither do I. Good morning, Witchy. So, now it is time for Arati. The word arati means flame in Sanskrit. Here's our little flame. Jaya Jaya Arati Vina Vinayaka Vina Vinayaka Shri Ganesha Jaya Jaya Arati Subramanya Subramanya Kartikeya Jaya Jaya Arati Venugopala Venugopala Venuola Vapa Vidura Navanita Chora Jaya Jaya Arati Venkanta Ramana Venkanta Ramana Sankatarana Sita Rama Radhe Shama Gaya Jaya Arati Raja Rajeshwari Raja Rajeshwari Tripura Sindari Mahalakshmi Mahasaraswati Mahakali Mahashakti Jaya Jaya Arati Anjaneya Anjaneya Hanumanta Jaya Jaya Arati Dattatreya Dattatreya Trimutaravatara Jaya Jaya Arati Adityaya Adityaya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jaya Arati Sanistaraya Sanistaraya Bhaskaraya Jaya Jaya Arati Sankarachaya Sankarachaya Advaita Guravi Jaya Jaya Arati Sadgurunata Sadgurunata Shivananda Jaya Jaya Arati Vishnu Devananda Vishnu Devananda Vishnu Devananda Jaya Jaya Arati Agastya Munaye Agastya Munaye Shriyama Priyaye Jaya Jaya Arati Ayappa Samine Ayappa Samine Dharma Shastave Jaya Jaya Arati Jesus Grave Moses Grave Buddha Grave Jaya Jaya Arati Muhammad Grave Guru Nanak Grave Samastya Grubho Namaha Jaya Jaya Arati Venugopala. Natatra Suyabati Natandra Karatam Nema Vidyobati Kutaya Magni Twameva Bantamanavanti Sarvam Tasya Basya Samidam Vivanti Om Gange Kayamune Kaiva Govari Saraswati Narmade Sidukaveri Namastitam Namo Namaha. Twameva Mata Chapita Twameva Twameva Bandesha Saka Twameva Twameva Vidya Javinam Twameva Twameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Kayena Vacha Manasendriyarva Budyat Manava Prakrite Sabhavad Karom Yad Yad Mangalam Parasmahe Narayana iti sarmar payami Sarvadharmam pravijaya mamikam savanam vrija Aham sva sarvapapayo mokshayami masucha. Thank you, Jelly. I didn't know you were here. Good morning. How are you doing? How is your new apartment? Sanskrit, Jessica. Sanskrit is the language. And now we're going to switch to Hebrew for Kaddish. The word Kaddish comes from a very old root, QDS, Semitic root. One version of her is this. This is Kaddish, right? She holds snakes. She arouses Egyptian gods. Right, so we were just reading this story about Anat, right? Like, what, 5-10 minutes ago? Anat, this, like, sexy goddess flirting with man. She says, I promise you eternal life if you'll give me your bow. Right? Like, so this is this character, Kaddish. Right? She's a thing. She's an idea that people had. And somehow out of that idea, we get this Jewish concept, Kaddish, and many iterations. Kiddush, prayer for wine. Kadosh means holy. Kaddish is usually seen as a prayer of mourning, right? So from all these things, all these different ideas come from some old snake-wielding goddess 4,000 years ago. Interesting. Very interesting. So in this iteration, Kaddish is a prayer of mourning, a prayer of grief, a moment to reflect on what we have lost and to try to let it go from our minds, as well as our hands. And remind ourselves that to live is to suffer. It has been for as long as there's been life. And we can remember that and mourn for that and accept that with these words. Yid Gadal, Yid Kaddish, Shemei Rabba, Bi'alma Divrach Yute, V'yam Lich Mal Chute, B'chai Chon of Yom Echon of Chai Dekol Beit Yisrael, Bagala, Bizban, Marie, B'imru, Amen. Yehe Shemei Rabba Mevarach Li'alam, Omei, Omaya, Yid Barach, Vishtabach, Yid Ba'ar, Yid Ramam, Yid Naseh, Yid Adar, Yid Alei, Yid Allah, Shemei De Kudisha, Berechu, Le'elamin Kol Birchata, V'shirata, Tushbechata, V'nechemata, Yamiran, Bi'alma, V'imru, Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chaim Aleinu V'chol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Osei Shalom B'imramav Huya Asei Shalom V'chaim Aleinu V'chol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Osei Shalom B'imramav Huya Asei Shalom Aleinu V'chol Yisrael V'imru V'imru Amen. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hangry hides. Compliments like that are dangerous. Like, I literally slipped up my words reading that. It's like reciting this Hebrew prayer. And then all of these symbols about I'm interesting and intelligent and beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate that. I also, there are many layers. I don't actually know how to internalize it for a number of reasons. Basically, it's very difficult for me to believe you. For healthy and unhealthy reasons, it's difficult for me to believe compliments like that. But so it goes. You said it. So, on some level, you think it. It's very sweet. Thank you. What are my favorite hair products? Today I'm rocking this ribbon. I haven't worn a hair ribbon like this in a long time. Is that a hair product? Did I pay anything for it? I think I ripped it off a mattress. It's got this frayed end. Yeah, I think it was a ribbon from a gift. I don't know. I'm gonna go get some buckwheat. I'll be back in a minute, and we can have a snack, and I can tell you more about hair products if you really want to know all about the things that I put in my hair. I don't know. Is that what this is now? Okay, that's fine. You know, I have been watching a lot of beauty tutorials recently, and I feel a little weird about it, right? Like, strictly curls. Yeah, I use a leave-in conditioner, and I also use a hair oil, and I have a particular shower regimen. Real thing about, it's not really any product that I use, it's the patterns of treatment, right? Like, how regularly I shower, is the main thing that affects what my hair looks like. This is hair having not showered for 2 days. So the longer I go without showering, the bigger and floofier it gets. That's just, it's just what it is. Yeah, I don't know. I've been watching a lot of makeup tutorials, a lot of hair tutorials, things like that, and I have this strange kind of ambivalence, looking at the kind of content that those girls make. Right? Because I get asked to make that kind of content sometimes, right? What hair products do you use? Ooh, is that... Do I want to dip my toes into that? I have very mixed feelings. Yes, Jessica, I shave. I shave my face every morning. And I don't shave anywhere else but my face. I'm eating buckwheat right now. Aztec clay treatments. That sounds expensive and fancy and maybe appropriative. Thank you, Jessica. This is basically my comfort meal. Yeah. It's what I eat every morning. I may have given myself too much. We shall see. I'm happy you're here, Jessica. Buckwheat. How is your apartment search going? You're staying with your parents, I assume? Or a friend? Looking for apartments. God, that sounds... I'm very glad that I am not doing that. I'm very glad I'm not doing that. I'm having a pretty good day. Your stuff is at your father's and you're staying with your boyfriend. Sounds livable, temporarily. What time do I generally wake up in the morning? I usually wake up at dawn. Just about. But I spend a long time in bed. Between dawn and... Like, I will get out of bed somewhere these days between 7 or 8. Or, like, sit up, and even if I don't get out of bed, I'll start doing something. But sometimes I don't get to work until... Well, now it's noon. Today was a late day. Buckwheat, buckwheat. Yeah, it's a big deal. Getting an apartment in a big city. I hated doing it. Where do I live? I live on a commune in upstate New York. Mm-hmm. Okay. I think I'm not going to be able to finish this. I made too much. Portion control is challenging when I have no measurements. Just sort of pour it in and I'm half asleep, and sometimes it's too much. No! Buckwheat is not the same type of grain that is used in tabbouleh. In tabbouleh, you use bulgur wheat. And bulgur wheat and buckwheat are actually basically as different as two plants can be. Buckwheat isn't actually even a cereal crop. Buckwheat is more closely related to spinach. It's a Polygonaceae. It's not a grass. It's like a flowering plant. Whereas bulgur wheat that's used in tabbouleh is wheat, right? So it's a cereal crop. Right, so their evolutionary history and their history of domestication is like radically different. So even though we both think of them as grain, yeah, they're pretty different. So their flavor profiles are quite different, and their nutritional properties quite different. Yeah, hey, did you know that I made a documentary about seeds? And now you ask me a question like that, I'm going to give you too long of an answer. Thank you. I'm glad you like my videos. Colleen, thank you so much. Alright, I'm gonna go. I will see you here tomorrow to say these words one more time. And I hope you have a really lovely day, friends. Farewell.